Hey everybody, what's up? Hope you guys are doing good today. Time for a continuation of the series that I'm doing on lure categories. And this is going to take a while. It's more that I got thinking about it. I thought I'd get it done in a week or 10 days, and it's going to take a lot longer than that. So I may mix it up with some other stuff, but I'm going to keep on it for a while here. And hey, before we get started, just want to thank everybody, man. Over the last week, I've gained 1,000 new subscribers to the channel just in a week. So man, I really appreciate everybody that's subscribing to the channel. Man, I'm just so humbled by this and grateful for it. So hope everybody's liking the content, and hope we can keep on growing the channel. That'd be really great. But a couple things before we get started here. Today we're going to be doing a continuation on some different stuff on lipless crankbaits. There's a lot of different stuff we can talk about lipless crankbaits, but once again, if you're interested in any of these baits, I've included the Fish the Moment Tackle Warehouse link at the description on this video, where if you'd like to order any of these type of baits, or really any baits in general, it'd be great. It'd really help out Johnny and I at Fish the Moment. If you could order through this link that we've attached here, because we get a small percentage of those proceeds that really, help us put a lot of this content out. So appreciate that. But anyway, what we're going to talk about today, yesterday, if you saw the video, we talked about oversized lipless crankbaits. And one of the reasons I want to spend some time on lipless crankbaits over the, yesterday and today and probably tomorrow, is they're such a great pre-spawn bait. I think a lot of people, when they think about lipless crankbaits, there's a big percentage of the angling population that consider lipless crankbaits just like to fish over grass. And that's probably that's one of their top, type of structures and habitats to fish it on. But there's so many different type of structures. Basically, anywhere that you can catch a bass on like a spinnerbait or a crankbait or a chatterbait, any places like that, you can catch them also on a lipless crankbait, particularly in the late winter and early pre-spawn up in through till the water temperature starts to get close to 55 degrees. That's really my favorite time to fish it. And the category I want to talk about today, if there's any secrets left in fishing, we talk a lot about, secret baits, and there's a lot of stuff you see on YouTube that's like, it's clickbait. You just say, oh, the secret bait of the pros, that type of stuff. You guys have seen that. And this is sort of this is like sort of a true secret. It's one of the ones that a lot of people don't know about. So if there's any little secrets, this is one of them. And that is using silent lipless crankbaits. A lot of people don't even know they make silent lipless crankbaits, but they've been out for a long time. And I want to talk a little bit about today. So the bait I'm going to talk about today is the Megabass Vibration-X. Here is the rattling model. I just want to let you guys hear this. Your typical rattle. A lot of lipless crankbaits have different, tones and pitches of rattles, but that's the Vibration-X, which I really like. Sort of a nice subtle rattle. And here is the Vibration-X silent. This bait is, you can see it's absolutely silent. The only small noise that you have is like a little bit of the weight transfer system may move around a little bit, but basically, it's a silent bait. So a lot of people will ask, it's like, okay, why do you, the whole purpose of a lipless crankbait is that rattle, the rattle trap, the noise that a lipless crankbait makes. A lot of people think that is the key of the bait. That is what is a big attractant to the bait. And at times, yes, that is. There's times when a rattling lipless crankbait, like the Vibration-X, is the big deal. It's like if you're dealing with times that, the fish are fairly aggressive, you got conditions where the bass are chasing and moving a lot, they'll hit a lipless rattling crankbait. And also sometimes you can trigger a reaction strike under certain conditions with a loud bait. But usually that doesn't last very long. Usually that reaction strike, they get conditioned to it real quick. And when you're talking about baits that hold up over the long term, if you look a lot of the key baits out there, like the soft plastic stick baits like the Cinco, the jig, finesse jig, Texas rig worms, football head jigs, swim baits, all these bait categories, that we'll talk about a lot later that basically stand the test of time. They're the quiet baits because they don't telegraph themselves through noise. So that's why a lipless crankbait that rattles, it telegraphs itself extremely quick. The fish can get conditioned to it. It's not a real good bait to use under heavy fishing pressure, although there's some times that it's highly effective when the bass are in that right mood. But what about those times that the bass aren't in that super aggressive chasing mood? That is when these silent lipless crankbaits really shine out a lot. So the times that I want to use these and the times that these things are real effective, there's a couple different situations. If you have a situation where everything is lined up to where they should be biting this, say for example, it's early spring, the water temperature is say in the 50, low 50s, the bass are starting to move shallow. You have a lake that has a lot of flat points, flatter banks, and maybe a lot of shallow grass, and everybody's fishing a lipless crankbait. And say you get a bad cold front comes in. So say it gets bluebird, it gets abnormally, the temperature drops 15 or 20 degrees, typical post-front lockjaw situation. That's one situation where the silent vibrating lipless crankbait's really gonna come in handy. It's like when those fish they're just not as aggressive, they get conditioned to that noise. A lot of times you can go to the silent model and pick up a lot more fish with that. That's probably the number one condition that I like to fish a silent, lipless crankbait in. The second situation I like to fish it in is an area that you're getting a lot of fishing pressure in a small area of the lake by people that are fishing lipless crankbaits. For example, if you're fishing any lake that has offshore grass, the TVA lakes, particularly Florida. I mean, Florida is famous for areas that get people sucked into one area on these offshore grass areas. Texas, Sam Rayburn's the same way. You get an area that's got a lot of fish in it and a lot of boats. A lot of times you can go to this silent lipless crankbait in that same area and you can start catching a lot more fish that a lot of people just aren't catching with the noisy models. Hold on a second, I gotta let Sage outside. She wants outside here. So that's a big situation that I like to use it in. Heavy fishing pressure, post-front conditions, that type of stuff. One of the big keys that I like to use on lipless crankbait too, that I've done really good in, is basically a Yoyo Retrieve. Yo-yo on a lipless crankbait is a really good way to catch them. And the thing about the lipless crankbait that's silent, the reason it works better for a yo-yo is when you yo-yo, like you throw it out there, say you're fishing a grass flat or point or whatever, you throw it out there, you let it hit the bottom, and you just pull it up off the bottom, let it go back to the bottom, almost like fishing a spoon. Pull it up, let it go off to the bottom. And the vibration that these lipless crankbaits produce, like the Vibration-X by Megabass, that doesn't have noise, you're still telegraphing vibration through the water, but that vibration is silent. And, it's a different thing that they pick up with their ladder lines, and sometimes, that'll trigger a strike. So some of the best days that I've had on a silent lipless crankbait are the days, and I've done probably better in Florida than anywhere with it, are days when you got like offshore grass that's fairly scattered, it's not real thick, that those fish are set up to bite a lipless crankbait in, and I'll throw it out there, let it hit the bottom. I'll take like a 7-foot, fairly stiff rod. You don't want a soft tip rod. You need a fairly stiff tip rod to really get that bait to dart up quick. Throw it out there, and I'll snap it up off the bottom, let it go to the bottom, snap it up, maybe 6 inches, a foot off the bottom, and they'll hit it just like a jig bite. It's like when that bait's falling back down, you'll see your line tick just like on a jig, set the hook, and you can get them. And that's particularly if you have areas that are getting any type of current. And that current can be generated by wind too. So if you're fishing grass flats that are windy, secondary main lake points that are windy with this thing, pumping that lipless silent vibrating crankbait in the pre-spawn can be really, really good. So one other time that I've caught them good in it is smallmouth love a lipless crankbait up north. I mean, if you're fishing any of the Great Lakes, that type of water that has big smallmouth populations, and you're catching them on Ned rigs, drop shots, swim baits, jerk baits, whatever, and those fish are positioned on those flats up there, like in less than 5 foot of water, I've done really good on the silent lipless crankbait for big smallmouth in those situations. A lot of times those big smallmouth will really get conditioned to that noise even quicker than largemouth, and they'll go with the silent model. So anyway, like I said, this is a lure category that does not get fished very much, but like I said, it's one of those things that will definitely add up to more bites. The person that got me onto this was Aaron Martins. We were fishing, God, I think it was Gunnersville years ago like that. Gunnersville or maybe Logan Martin, I can't remember, but anyway, Aaron was ripping them on a lipless crankbait and I could not get a bite, and he told me, he said, man, I'm using the silent model. He goes, you want to use that silent model after these fronts come through. And this was 20 years ago, and I started incorporating it, especially when Megabass came out with the Vibration-X silent model, and it's been a real big mainstay for my pre-spawn fishing over the years. So anyway, give them a try. If you're getting your your lipless crankbait arsenal set up this year, get on there, order you some of the silent models, just give them a try into those conditions. Heavy fishing pressure, post-front situation, water temperature 50-55 degrees, and I know that it'll add up to some more fish for you guys. So anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow. I think I'm going to do one more on some different lipless crankbait scenarios, and then we'll move on to a different category. But thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.